Morning everybody, Mark Crossfield here. Today we're on the course testing the TaylorMade Sim, Sim2 driver, and we're going to compare it to the Cobra Radspeed driver. We'll look at the numbers later on in the video. We've got the tech coming as well, but I thought why don't we just do a good old-fashioned compare where we take them on the course, you know, where you play golf with them. Do we see a noticeable difference in these two clubs? Let's see if I can get round before the golfers catch me up on this lovely morning. Interesting start to the first one here. This is the Rad in the yellow ball up here, and then over here is the Sim in the middle of that circle there. And to be fair, this does surprise me to kick it off, because I would say the Sim felt like a better hit. It was slightly toey, lower spinning. I reckon on a dry morning, so you take the dew away, I reckon that one's doing better, because that was probably 400 to 700 less spin. If we measured indoors, that one's going to run out further than this one, which was a slight heel but a better flight. This was more of a dippier one with the strike. So I think, I mean, this is where outdoor testing is so great, and when we compare it to indoor, which we'll show you, just reading these numbers, you got to be careful. What I'll do on each hole we play, I'll play the hole out with the longest plus the straightest. They're both winning on straight, they're in play equally, second shots are the same. That's the longest, Cobra 1 up. So let's take the looks on both of these drivers to kick us off. They're very good looking drivers, both of these clubs. Kind of are really going for it with the jazzy colours. They're not afraid to look, stand out and good. Maybe the black top of the Cobra is a little bit more what we would call classic. It's got the rolled over face. We'll talk about the tech, because the faces on these are actually quite similar, and lots of people would argue they started mucking around with the face before the better marketed twist face idea was thrown out into the world. But you can see they follow a very similar theme in jazz while having nice shapes. The Sim2 has obviously the whitish, greyish, silvery kind of dash on the top, blue lipstick around the outside, and you see the carbon top. Cobra's going more white and the light green. You see a bit of the carbon top, and it's a mattish, Batman-ish style finish. And down by the ball, they've got a very similar shape. If anything, the Cobra's a bit more symmetrical in the curvature, where the Sim always has the curvature a bit more out that looks, when you look down at it, more towards the toe side of centre. Always looks a little bit more swollen up into this side, where this is more symmetrical feeling with the middle of the club. If I had to choose on looks alone, it would be hard to choose. I think Sim would win in a 100-person survey idea, I honestly do, but I think it would be close as well. Round two. It's a good strike with the Cobra, a bit more towards the toe side, so I've got my little kind of faint draw. It feels good, it feels solid. It's got a kind of medium to dull sound, dull in a good way, like as in it's not a big ting. It's a good solid sounding driver. TaylorMade looks good, like they always look good, don't they, down by the ball. See if we can get anything in equivalent strikes up there. Little bit heely, bit more off to the right, but it's decent. Like, they're not going to be far off, those two. Let's see where they finish. If anything, the sound of this one is a fraction higher pitched, but not much in it. A little bit more of a titanium ting, but both of them sound really good. Here's the TaylorMade, and just back there, and I say back there, on the angle, it's kind of like here is the Cobra. Very similar drives, but I would say that's now 1-1. So if I had to choose between these two clubs, and obviously these aren't the first two shots I've hit with these clubs. If you want full reviews, I've got full reviews on both of these clubs. Maybe I'll put a link in the description for both videos. It'd be really hard to choose. They're very, very similar. As I play this hole out, why don't we go and check out the tech and see if there's any big difference in the old tech world. Who's shouting the loudest? So let's start with the Sim. For tech, we have more power more often, they're saying, so forged ring construction, unlocking new dimensions of distance and optimal forgiveness in the Sim2. Crafted from lightweight, high strength aluminium that's precision milled. Shaped for aero, so it's got a aerodynamic shape to try and increase club head speeds. 16 gram steel, low spin, high forgiveness. We've journeyed beyond traditions to bring power, speed and forgiveness in a low spin driver. We've got a milled back face cup, speed injection ports, through slot speed pocket, our flexible speed pocket, designed to engineer maximal ball speed, speed injected twist face as well on this club. So it's packed with tech. So the Cobra Radspeed, it's got external weighting, so driver frame features 28 gram position forward as possible, 16 gram fixed weight and 12 gram adjustable weight, so you can flip the weights on this one. I have on for this test, the heavier weight at the back. The CNC milled infinity face, designed to expand the milled area by 95%, maximum ball speed zone, Cobra is saying T-bar speed sachet as well on this way, refined T-bar speed design is 7 gram lighter. Thin ply carbon wraparound crown, light carbon crown designs features new carbon fiber that is 30% thinner. Creates 16 grams of weight that they can be repositioned for optimal performance. Like again, super packed with tech. So I think what's interesting is both of these companies are really trying to shout quite loud about innovation. And I would say they are both innovating. I just think maybe one group relies on its bigger stable of players to produce its innovation, and it's not to say their innovation isn't good, because I think it is in the golf world. Where the other group, the other company, and you can decide which way round I think this is, bit of grass on my glasses, they are trying to push the needle with a very different group of players, but more with some ideas that are actually quite different. Maybe not in this driver, but across their brand. What do you think? Which brand do you prefer? Let me know that. I'd like to know in the comments, which brand sells to you more? So it's 1-1, one more drive with the outdoor drives before we go inside and look at the numbers. Now, where I think it's really good to test outside, it's obviously good to collect some launch data as well to learn what you're about with your driver. Don't think for a second that I'm saying go and hit 3 drives of each on the course and you can make a decision. My decision will be based on the inside data and testing these clubs a lot more on bigger tests as well over the times I've had them. For me, the outdoor test is really about showing you maybe the difference on the course, how it plays out compared to the dry data we're going to show you in a second, where you are dialing into 6, 4, 8 yards kind of stuff, which often just might not play out in a real situation. Which is why if one just catches your eye, a brand catches your eye, the price point catches your eye, they can be valid reasons for buying a new driver. For me, out of these two, I'm verging on the Cobra, but I've always liked the TaylorMade. And I think the Sim2 is just a really solid club as well. Let's see who wins round 3, and then we'll compare it to the indoor numbers in a second. Hit that nicely. Little fade up to the perfect position, to be fair. That might take some beating, Cobra. I think out of the two, it's just the feel of this one that slightly swings it for me, and maybe price point as well. I just think it's such a good club for the money. But again, would have no problem with either. Oh, round 3 in the comments down below. Who's going to win on this drive, do you reckon? TaylorMade has hit a great one up there. So that's further left, so that'll be a hard compare. Well, we'll try and do it. I think the TaylorMade's a better drive. But defining better drive is interesting, because it's a better drive on this situation by the fact that I hit a little pushy, cutty one that is perfect for this hole, which is where I would never aim it. Let's go and see, shall we? So this is the Cobra, and there's the TaylorMade. TaylorMade wins on better angle, maybe 2 yards further on. Let's go inside and see what the numbers really come out like. So just finishing off my indoor numbers, which we'll show you. Again, I'm seeing such similar shots. That's a great drive with the last one of the Sim. Boom. Last 2 with the Radspeed. So again, when you're testing, indoors, it's good to mix up the clubs. Don't just hit the same club over and over again, and form patterns if you can. A little bit toey, not quite coming back. Right, let's show you them. So So let's start with ball speed, 159 to 160. I mean, look at the standard deviation, 1.2 and 2.4, so slightly more varied with the Sim, but they're overlapping. Launch angles the same because I've got them dialed in. Now remember, when I'm filming with these clubs, I'm always trying to fit them before I go in. They should be coming out the same unless someone's tech is way better than someone else's, but I think we know where we are with that nowadays. So I'm getting the spin within 200 revs, under 200 revs of each other, but look at the standard deviation is bigger than the difference, 360 to 439, so they're basically the same. Average side angles, but you can see the yellows, I was a little bit more left and right with the Cobra on this batch. And then the carry is within 4 yards of each other, and like we saw outside, getting that 4 yards to play out and repeating this test would be much harder. And that's something to think about when you are fitting and testing your drivers. If something comes out noticeably better than the other, you want to try and repeat that. If you can't repeat it, then maybe you just threw a few more heads and a few tails with this one. Out of 10, you had 8 heads apparently on one batch and only 2 on that one head. So that doesn't mean that's not a 50-50 odds if you throw it enough times, if that makes sense. I'm seeing 2 very good drivers. I'm seeing 2 very jazzy branded up drivers, which I like. Good looking, good sounding. Cobra for me takes it slightly on sound and price. I think this takes it a little bit more on shop appeal and brand appeal, with obviously the stable of players pushing this as well. I think it will appeal to lots of good golfers. Any student of mine came with either of these 2 drivers, if it's been fit, and they tell me it's been fit in the last X amount of years, subject to what they're doing at the time, I'm gonna think drivers complete, what can they do? I'm not gonna be worried about what's coming out of this end, because they're just both really good. Which one would you choose and why? Let me know. How important is price over branding or performance? Let's hear you in those comments below. Thanks for watching.